Greetings and various assorted salutations. This is the MultiMonitor um, tutorial on how to use multiple monitors with your laptop or other computer device. This tutorial is intended for Windows 10. It was created in summer 2020. The reason for this tutorial is it was requested in my student exit survey, and it's a very useful tutorial because as people get on the computers more, especially for school purposes, students may find it quite helpful to know how to multitask and some of the issues that can arise. Because what you'll find right away is much of this is intuitive except when something isn't configured correctly. And like anything that is automated, if it's not configured correctly, it automatically messes things up. And so that's part of the other reason for this tutorial, is to kind of show you what things look like and what they're supposed to look like and how to make them look like what they're supposed to. So first off, with multiple monitors, you'll have to have some method to connect multiple monitors. There are many ways to do this. For teachers watching this tutorial, you'll probably be using the school's VGA port. The school computer's VGA port allows you to take the VGA thing, the one with the pins and holes pictured in the video, and plug it into a monitor. Newer computers will typically have an HDMI port. And the HDMI port and VGA port, they're very different pieces of technology. They're from different eras, but they fundamentally you're seeking to do the same thing. Allow you to use multiple monitors and give you more space to work with virtually. And so it doesn't particularly matter which one's which. The basics for hooking them up is, well, it's plug and play. You plug in the monitor you want to use into the computer you want to use it with, and turn it on, turn them on, and that should configure things. Now, right off the bat, it may not configure things in a way that you actually like, and so you may have to change the default settings. To do that, you need to be on the desktop, and what you'll need to do is right-click on the desktop, and you're going to go down to Display Settings. And right off the bat, this pulls up everything that you can do with the displays. First thing you might want to do is figure out which monitor is which. Just a tip, if you're using a laptop, usually the laptop screen is monitor 1. Monitor 1 is, when you open up new programs, they usually open up into here. Additionally, if you have notifications turned on, say your email or social media or something into that effect, those will appear on monitor 1. And so that's something to keep in mind, is monitor 1 is what the computer thinks of as your primary monitor. It's where it lets you know things are going on. You can see a slight difference, like I have the full toolbar over here, but on my monitor 2, I just don't have all that same information. Now, right off the bat, you can click on either monitor here and adjust settings. Just look at monitor 1. You shouldn't have to mess with these settings, I hope. They usually get these right. But the display resolution is the recommended size of the canvas that you're working on, the size of the screen. In general, you don't want to mess with this. You can make it bigger or smaller, but that affects the size of everything on that screen. And usually your computer can detect the correct one. And it usually says recommended. But you can change it. I just don't advise messing with that. If you need to fix monitor 2, you can click on that, and voila, the exact same configuration. You'll notice that my display resolution is different on my different monitors. That's because monitor 1 is a 22-inch wide screen, but my other monitor is a 19-inch square. It's not a wide screen. So that's why the resolutions are different on those two. So you can have different size monitors hooked up to your computer. The next thing that you might want to look at is let's say you don't like which one's the main monitor. You might want to click Make this my main display. The time where this might come in handy is, let's say you're giving a presentation or you're like a teacher and you have a projector as monitor 2 or monitor 1. Monitor 1 with those notifications, like when you get emails, you may not want that to appear on monitor 2. So you might just want to keep your personal screen on monitor 1, because you know when a notification for an email pops up or something, it might give you a short blip. And for teachers, some of the emails we get are classified information. Oops, sorry about that, bumped my microphone. But some of the information we get is classified, and we don't want that popping up on the projector screen in any way, shape, or form. So you want to make sure you know where things are going. But no, so that's the idea between the two monitors, and you can switch whichever one you want to be main display. Can't remember which one's which, hit the identify button. Now, the other thing that's worth noting is you can change the way the displays work. Some people set their monitors to do duplicate display, where essentially what happens on one monitor happens on the other. This can get a bit wonky if you have two different size monitors like the ones I have. Essentially, they'll try and adapt so that you can see everything on the screen, both screens, which means that one monitor is going to look really weird. I can't really represent that without like taking a video camera and aiming it at it, but it kind of changes the displays. Teachers, you might use duplicate displays. I use it at parent-teacher conferences, for example, when I'm sitting at my desk and I turn my other monitor around so that I can show visitors what's going on in the class, and I can see what I'm doing, they can see what I'm doing as well. But we don't have to huddle together around the same screen. Especially given today's social distancing norms, that might be an increasing option you'll use a lot. Show on monitor 1 and show on monitor 2 are features you might use if you want to hide stuff on one of the monitors, or you don't want to show that, or you don't need one of those monitors at the moment. But I usually set it to extend these displays because I'm looking to maximize the amount of stuff I can shove on my screens. Now, the other thing you're going to run into is perhaps configurations. Monitor 1, monitor 2 are set up so that when I bring my mouse across, drag my mouse across monitor 1, it goes into monitor 2, and vice versa. What happens sometimes is like you could have your physical layout of monitors different, because what this picture does is it shows you how the computer visualizes where these screens are. It may not match where yours are. And so what you might have to do is move the monitors around, which you can left-click and drag and reposition. You can put them like this. You can put them like this. You can put them like this. You'll notice, like if, say, you have a monitor way over here, and it just snaps over to here, because the computer doesn't recognize the physical space. It's just saying, okay, if you drag your mouse over here, it's going to instantly appear over here. Relatively seamless. And so when you've decided on your configuration, you can hit apply, or you can hit cancel. But that's the basics of that. There's other features. I won't get into those because, well, most of the time you don't need them, and this isn't the tutorial for that. Now let's go into the controls of different windows. The idea of multiple monitor setup is allowing you to do multiple things or one task that requires multiple objects or things out. So for students, a good example of this is, say you are given a video assignment or a reading assignment. You need to be able to access multiple screens simultaneously, like a video screen and the assignment screen itself. Or you need a reference page as well. And so this part of the tutorial will go into detail on how to do that. Alrighty, let's configure the multiple screens. So let's say we're opening up Firefox. Let's say that you need to access the online textbook so you can do some readings and answer some questions. Well, right off the bat, you have multiple tabs. So what you would do is you'd open up whatever you need in one tab, you'd click the plus sign, open up another tab, and then you can grab, so that would be left click, and drag it, and this separates it. And so now you can have something on display over here and be working over here, or vice versa. It really doesn't matter which screen you use for your tasks unless you're particular about that. Typically, the way my monitor 1 is configured, it's right in front of me, and monitor 2 is slightly off to the side and whatnot. And so This is great if you need one. You can use one screen to watch the video, another screen to carry out whatever you need to carry out. Now let's say you need more space. You need more. You can click, and if you drag this to the side, you'll notice there's kind of a ripple effect and a shadow. And if you do that, now it takes up half the screen. If you're playing a YouTube video, for example, it would the YouTube video will automatically configure so that you can see the whole video in half-screen configuration. It'll be a bit smaller, but that's what you're doing. Now, right off the bat, you may notice that there is all kinds of different tabs. All the programs you have open appear up here. And if you click on one of them, let's click on this one. This will take up the other half of the screen. Likewise, if we were to do this again, say you don't have a program that you need to do that, you can just click anywhere and it'll go away. But the other configuration you can do is you can do a quarter screen, divide your screen into fourths, and you can see I put that one there. Let's put another thing in there. I'm learning how to use Blender, or trying. That goes in another corner. Let's see here. Let's slap in the Word document, and you can see you can have all these different configurations. You can have up to 4 programs taking up space at once. And so this is one of the configurations. Let's say that you need to adjust the sizes of different things. You can do that. If you have 2 objects, let's see here. Oh, cancel. That's not the button I wanted. So let's say you've got these 2 things, but you don't need this one to take up as much space. You can actually adjust the sizes of these different things so that if you need more space one way or the other, you can do that. And then you can be working on the other screen, or you can be working in a corner. Basically, this is just a great way to have a lot of things open and be operating on them at once. It's like you have a video. Let me think. When I was in graduate school, I needed a Word document on one screen, and that was the main thing I was working on, but I'd have reference sources littered across the second screen in quarters or fourths. Well, that's the same thing. Quarters or halves, things like that. And so that's the idea behind the multi-monitor usage. This is partially why I'm a fan of computers over tablets or over phones, is I really like the idea of having a bank of screens. I look at the science fiction movies with all the giant glowing screens, and I think, that's what I want. And so I've tried to configure my life around that. Yes, I base some portions of how I do things based on science fiction. Anyways, rule of cool. But now, one of the issues you can run across is if you're moving between different monitor configurations. Imagine you're a teacher, you pick up your computer, you plug it in to the projector, you unplug it, you take it home, you plug it into a different monitor, and you actually have multiple setups. I had this problem when I was moving around a lot. I'd have one setup for when I was in the TA office, where I'd have my desk that way. I'd have a setup for when I was in the lecture hall presenting information, and I'd have my dorm room configuration. And you can get some really wonky things happening. That's why you need to learn how to mess with the settings. But one of the errors you can run into is a program will open up on a screen you cannot see. And so you need to figure out how to drag that program kicking and screaming into a part of the screen that you can actually, work with. And so the way to do that is relatively straightforward. What you need to do, you'll see on the on-screen keyboard in a second, but you need to click on the program that you need to move. So let's say I need to move my website, the Firefox page that's opened on Firefox. So if it's just a program by itself, you can click on it. Or with this one, you click on the part you need, and then you hold down Alt spacebar. And you'll see that pulls up a little menu here. Now, if this was completely off screen, I couldn't see it at all, it would appear somewhere on the screen near where my mouse is. Now, what we need to do is move it. And right away you can see that there's several different options. If you see the little underlining under each of these, that means that if you hit that button, you can do that command, whereas normally you would click on it. In the olden days, before computer mice were invented, you had to control everything with the keyboard. And Microsoft and Apple, they've never completely gotten away from keeping that feature in there. It's just really helpful. And in this case, it's impossible to click on things in this kind of situation. So we're going to hit M for move, and we can then use the arrow keys to maneuver this. And it's a bit of guesswork, but then you can basically move it onto the part of the screen that works. Now, one of the things that might happen is it's like maximized. So if it's, let's say it's maximized on a screen that you can't see, you can hit Alt space, and you'll notice that move is grayed out. And so what you need to do is shrink it down, and that's the restore button. And you see it shrinks it down, and then you can hit Alt space again. Sorry about that. I got a bit overzealous with my clicking. Alt space, and then you hit M, and now you can move it wherever you need it to go. Also, you'll notice that it snaps to my mouse as well, and that can be another way to move things around once it's on the screen. But hopefully this multi-monitor setup tutorial helps. Basically, we went over how to get the settings to match the way your screens are set up, some potential uses for how it works, and some troubleshooting issues that commonly come up with multi-monitor usage. In any case, I hope this helps, and until later.